Hello everyone and welcome on De Papier de Rêve channel. I'm Ursula and today I will be painting with you some dandelions. During one of my walks in Stockholm, I came across this beautiful field of dandelions and it inspires me right away. So that's why I'm painting it today and I'm planning to have a lot of fun with it. As usual, I'm starting this first layer with a lot of water and I'm working quite blurry. I've started by putting some Indanthrene blue at the top left corner and I gradient it until nothing with just my brush filled with water, and I paint around the dandelions so that they can stay very white. And just before I let this first layer dry, I will blur the edges of the dandelion so that it will be blurry and soft. And I'm doing that with just my brush filled with water. I'm not having too much water on my brush, it's quite dry, but it's clean water. And I brush around the dandelion very softly in order to blur that edges that has formed during the first layer and make it blurry and fluffy and whatever you want. It's quite a hard thing to do when you are starting with watercolor, but the more you do it, the more easy it gets. The trick is to have a really clean brush to do it and work quickly, because if the edge is too dry it will not blur at all. And I'm repeating the same movement in order to get this part very light and fresh. It's just because watercolor moves until it's dry, so when it's drying I have to keep an eye on the white and correct if the pigments start to flow again in the white area. And this technique is a little bit difficult to do right now in summer because the paper dries so much quickly than in winter. So I was a bit surprised in my second layer how fast my paper can dry. And when I'm putting this area of yellow, I think I didn't have enough water on my brush and it dries so quickly, and I was having some blooms starting to emerge in the yellow, and that's why I brush and brush and brush to get rid of the blooms. If you see a bloom appearing and you don't want it, you can put a lot more water on it and in most cases it will disappear, but it's a bit tricky. My first layer was very quick and very blurry, and the second layer will also be like that because I'm using this second layer to add some colors and densify the colors a little bit, and I'm not doing any details for now. I'm just focusing on colors and get them right where I want them to be. And on this painting I want a very clear summer effect, and that's why I'm using a lot of nickel azo yellow. It's a very bright yellow and it brings this light of summer, and I'm quite digging it. And to help me form the dandelion, I'm using a clean paper towel to absorb the excess of water and to stop the pigment to go in the white area. But you have to be quite soft with this technique because if you dry the area too much you will start to get another edge. So it's a balance between wet and paper towel and wet and paper towel. And yes, with a little bit of practice it's quite easy, but it's really been to have in focus the amount of water you get on the paper. You have to find the balance between too much water and to less water, and that's the tricky part, in fact. And let's talk about supplies. For the brushes, I've used an Escoda aquario number 18, a Raphaël petit gris 803 number 2, and a dagger brush, Rosemary Co, série 39, half an inch. And for the color, I've used blue Indanthrene, Lunar blue, Aussie red gold, and nickel azo yellow. And my paper is Canson Héritage in rough. So now my painting is starting to look like dandelions, and I need just the right amount of details in order to bring them to life. And for that I'm using a dagger shaped brush with very long hair on it, and it will help me to have really random marks on my paper which will appear more natural. For me it's a perfect brush for foliage and details in nature because of the randomness of the brush marks. But you have to accept the randomness, and sometimes if you want to be more realistic, or if you are afraid of random, it could be a bit tricky with this brush. You have to accept that this will not be exactly what you want to be, and you have to play with what appears on the paper a bit more than with a round regular brush. So now I'm trying to create hard edges around the dandelions so that they have more definition into it, but I'm also blurring my marks a little bit to have a little bit more softness. And during this step I'm also adding a lot of colors, dark colors, in order to build the contrast between my background and the dandelions, so that they will pop a little bit more. White against dark will always pop more. And while I'm adding all those tiny little details on my painting, I will talk a little bit more about it and make auto-critic of the painting, a self-critic of the painting, because I'm quite convinced that I could have done it better. So there is nothing totally wrong about this painting, and I'm quite happy with it, but I think I could have done some part of it a little bit better. I think the dandelions are a little bit heavy on the painting and not as soft and flowy as I would have loved them to be. And I think it's because the white of my sky is a bit too white, in fact, and it's fighting against the white of my dandelions. So I could have darkened a little bit the sky in order to make the dandelions pop a little bit more and bring them a bit more to life. The second point is that my stems of the dandelion are too straight. They are not bendy like they should have been in the nature. So I think it's a point that makes the flower looks heavy too. And there is one last thing I didn't realize I've made it while I was painting. I didn't use any red or brown or nothing like that in my painting. I've just blue and yellow. And that's fine, there's no problem about it. But I think that I could have built a little bit more contrast in the greenery with a little bit of red or burnt sienna, something warmer and reddish. It would have been, I think, a little bit better. There is something strange about this painting because usually I do not like my painting right after I finish them. I'm always, oh no, it's bad, I could have done it better. And a few days later I think they are better, but with this one I was very happy with myself when I finished it, and it's just 2 days after I'm not liking it anymore, and I think I could have done it better. So I think I will try this subject again and try to make it in a different way. Maybe I can do better with this. And this video is now ending. Thanks for watching. I hope you like it, and please check the blog post for more information about it. I post my reference picture and some zoom in the picture so that you can have more details about it, and tell me what you think in the comments. See you soon.